So the last thing that I thought might be interesting to do with our first lesson to list is to write up a little mini app that actually uses some of these concepts. So I was thinking about a doggy daycare app. So doggy daycare. So this is gonna be a very simple one. It doesn't really have a user interface and it doesn't really interact with the user that much, but maybe it shows some ideas about how list could be used. So let's say you owned a doggy daycare. You might keep a list of dogs that are currently in attendance. So maybe my dog, some other staff members' dogs. I'm not sure if you know who these guys are, but let's say that these dogs are all in attendance. Then we might think, well, okay, these dogs are in attendance. Well, how can we check new dogs in? So checking new dogs in. So basically to check a new dog in, what we want to do is we want to add that dog to the list of dogs. So we think back to the last video and we're like, well, what method would allow us to add a new dog to this list? To add things to the list, we use .append. So let's see, if we want to add a new dog, we'll do dogs.append, bingo. Dogs.append, Lassie. Dogs.append, which other dogs are out there? Balto. And I think that that's maybe enough dogs for our doggy daycare. So what we can do is we can print out the dogs that are in attendance at various times. So why don't we print out the dogs in attendance at these two different times? So here we go. So at first it's just Sky, Chloe, and Mabel at this point, but then when we append all of these new dogs, now our list of dogs in attendance is here. So let's say we stop taking dogs in at this point. For a variety of reasons, it might make it easier if we had this list of dogs sorted. That way we could maybe check off in order to make sure which dogs were fed. Maybe feeding them alphabetically is easier. To make the dogs alphabetized, what you'd want to do is you'd want to do dogs.sort. Let's print out the dogs now. So we're printing out the dogs at 3 different stages. Okay, Sky, Chloe, and Mabel. We add the new dogs, and then we sort all the dogs in attendance, and we finally get the last list of dogs. So let's say that it's Chloe's turn to go home. How might we send Chloe home? Well, going home would be removing Chloe from daycare. So the way that we can do that is we can say dogs.remove Chloe. Print out the dogs. So it looks like we've got the same 3 lists, but then in the last list, Chloe is sent home, so she's not in attendance anymore. So now let's say that we wanted to pick out Mabel from the list. Maybe Mabel's not going home, but it's time to feed Mabel. So let's do print, it is time to feed. And then I want to add on the name Mabel here. But rather than type Mabel out, because Mabel might not always be this dog, the way that we can get Mabel is we can use the list index that corresponds to Mabel. So we want to print out dogs, and then which dog do we want to print out? Remember, from the last video, we saw that dogs in a list would be numbered 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's print out Mabel like this. So it is time to feed Mabel. If instead we wanted to feed Sky, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'd want to print out dogs with the index of 4, because that will give us the 4th dog. Or not the 4th dog, but the dog at index 4. I hesitate to say 4th dog because it looks visibly like Sky is the 5th dog. And then last, let's see, is there anything else we might want to do? Well, what if we wanted to select all of the dogs, the first 3 dogs? So here we go. Print. For the first 3 dogs, it'll be dogs from the 0th dog up to 0, 1, 2. But remember, to get from 0, 1, 2, you have to go 1 past. So from 0 to 3. And now we get Balto, Bingo, and Lassie, these 3 dogs. So I think this is a nice little app that illustrates when a list might be used. Of course, you'd have a better user interface so that somebody could check in the dogs, but really what checking in would do is we'd add that dog to the list. We could sign dogs out as their owners pick them up. What would be happening behind the scenes maybe is we'd be removing that dog from the list. And if we had a list of times to feed the dogs and we fed them, then what we could do is we could use list indexes to actually feed the proper dog at the right time. So here are some of our list methods that we learned in the last video in action. Hope that helped. See you guys tomorrow.